All right, welcome back to Grand Central Station. It has been quite a while. Life gets in the way of doing stuff, and I haven't had the chance to do this in a while. That 55 SA Garand I was working on the last time y'all saw me. Um, I didn't video the last couple of coats. Just didn't happen, but we got her done. Um, She came out real pretty. Last few months, she's got real dark and oranged up quite a bit. Hopefully, you can see her in there. Looks pretty good, huh? Yep. Well, she got 5 coats. 5 coats of boiled linseed oil, and then I put 2 coats of Tom's 1/3 mix on it. I had not used the Tom's 1/3 mix yet, but heard a lot of good stuff about it, and knowing what I wanted that to look like, the Tom's 1/3 mix seemed like the right idea. And the stuff, I think I'm probably going to put it on all my stocks from now on. But anyway, I'm here today. Went to a gun show yesterday and found something kind of interesting, especially if you're going to have Garands. You got to have a bayonet for it, right? Well, this one has got one of the early red grips and one of the black ones. This one happens to be one of the more produced ones. You probably can't see that, but it's a Union fork and hoe that was cut down with a Bowie cut. And so today what we're going to do is take it apart and clean it and make it nice and shiny again. This one's in decent shape, but I do the same stuff to these that I do to my end blocks. A little bit of shooter's lube. I love this stuff. It takes rust off, light rust. It's heavy. You're going to need something like a vapor rust, but this has got just a light little bit of what you can see and enough to warrant a little scrubbing with some shooter's lube and a little bit of steel wool, and just enough to scrub it off. So let's get started. One of those, and the magic trifle oil. That's all you need. And brush and a screwdriver. So 1 screw, and I'm going to put the old glasses on because I'm blind as a bat without them. There we go. All right. Field stripping a bayonet. All right, 1 screw. That comes off. That's pretty clean in there. Other side comes off. Well, that's got a little bit of a crack there on the inside. Well, take a little Gorilla Glue and dab it in there with a toothpick. That'll fix it. As long as it doesn't go all the way through to the other side, usually nothing to worry about, but I like to put a little glue in there anyway. It's not the first time. All right, let's see. There's that. Now, taking these apart, your plunger there pushes the rod down to take it on and off your rifle. So we gotta push that plunger in, push that out that side, that comes out, pin comes out, spring comes out. Nice and easy. Well, I don't see anything too bad here. I had a couple that were pretty rusty. And Shooter's Lube took that stuff right off. I'm not sponsored by them or any of that stuff. Use this stuff on all my guns and bayonets and anything metal that needs to be scrubbed on. Shooter's Lube. And then I don't use this on the guns, but trifluoil is a great protectant for stuff. All right, well, couple of sprays of Shooter's Lube. Right there on the end. Like I said, this one's pretty clean, so it's just going to get a light going over. Nothing crazy. I don't like the 4/0 steel wool because it's like 600 grit, and all it does is give it a nice little bit of a polish. It doesn't affect doesn't take any of the heavy stuff off. Just enough to scrub it down to get the dirt and the grime off. And that Shooter's Lube works great on light surface rust. And just scrub it all over. Get it all down in there. All the cracks and crevices. I really think that's all it needs. All right. Wipe it off. There you go. You see that point. I hadn't had one yet that's got that Bowie cut to it, and I like that. I think that's cool. The different variances and all the stuff they did to these during the war is kind of cool. That's why collecting's an expensive-ass hobby. All right. That looks pretty good. And inside of there looks clean enough to me. I do the same thing with this, even though it's plastic. If it needs it, take a brush with a little Shooter's Lube on it, scrub the insides down, get it all done. This actually looks just good enough to me. I'm not going to mess with it. Do the same with all the parts. Scrub everything off. This looks pretty good. Leave that a go. Yeah. That don't look bad at all. All right. I'm not going to do it because it takes too long for the video, but trifluoil, put a couple of drops. Well, for this, it's going to take more than a few, but put some trifluo on it and wipe the whole thing down and let it sit for about 10 minutes. Wipe that trifluo oil off. Let it sit about another 10 minutes after that and wipe it off again. And then put it back together. And this goes in real simple. Make sure that's all dry in there. But not going to do the trifluoil on camera because, like I said, it's going to sit for too long. Anyway, all right, let's put her back together. Spring goes back in there. I'll just make sure to put the hook in through the hole. What am I doing? Push that plunger down. That's it. Good. Slippery. Screw back in. And you're done. That's it. That's it. Nice and simple. Like I said, I do it just like I do my end blocks. And take some of these long pointy Q-tips you can get for cleaning your guns on Amazon. And I like to run them through there where the blade slides and clean that off. And you can clean down in there, put a little shooter's lube on that too. I did this earlier anyway. And just run that back through there to get all that crud out of here that builds up from years of having in and out of there. And clean that off. There you go. All right. That's that. Now let's see if it fits. I haven't put this on the gun yet. Oh. All right. There we go. I have a couple of them that are bent and don't fit, but that's it. All right, well, that's another edition of Grand Central Station. Glad I got to see you again. And as always, we'll see you next time on Grand Central Station.